What's up, guys? Mr. Dan here, back again with a review of the film The Execution Game, the third and final film in the game trilogy from Toru Murakawa, once again starring Yusaku Matsuda as the assassin Shohei Narumi. And what I'll do in this video is I will review the final film called The Execution Game, which I just finished a few minutes ago. And I decided to just jump right into a review. But as I was looking at the DVD, I mean, there are a lot of special features. There's some interviews with the screenwriter, and you know, I did actually present in the first video this nice Arrow 3-film set, and it's got plenty of extras. So I think what I'll do is I'll have a 5th video which will sort of wrap everything up, and I'll give some final thoughts on the trilogy as a whole, and on this fascinating character and this phenomenal actor, Yusaku Matsuda, who, as I've mentioned in the previous videos, passed away, unfortunately, from cancer at a very young age, at the age of 40. So this is really a huge part of his legacy, this trilogy, and I'm glad to see in the comments that some people are that I've put this on the map for some people. And currently, right now, as of this video, it's at Hamilton Books has it for about I forget. I'm gonna say about 20, maybe about 25. But that's down, guys. It's down from about 39, I think. So check out Hamilton Books, or maybe look around. Yeah, I'm happy that I kind of put this on the radar screen for some of my friends out there who are interested in quality cinema such as this. This is, once again, as I said, directed by Toru Murakawa. It's the same cinematographer, Seizu Sengen, and it's really a well-made film. Once again, this is at least my second favorite in the trilogy. Might be my favorite, to be honest with you. The second film was very good, but well, again, I'll wrap up the whole trilogy in the final video. This is a good one, guys. I really enjoyed this. Let's get into it. This video is for a review of this film. Okay, I gotta stay on focus here. Okay, so this begins quite differently than the previous films. We do not get to see Narumi in his sort of relaxed mode, where he's dressed like a bum and he's chilling out and he's gambling and he's womanizing. We don't get to see any of that actually in the whole film. Okay, we get to see him first. He's essentially a kidnapping victim, and then he's kind of like blackmailed, and then he jumps right into his assassin mode for the rest of the film. And I think some people might have some issues with some of the pacing, especially in the earlier parts of the film. If you're not used to it, it does take its time a little bit. But once it kicks into high gear, it really doesn't stop. And essentially, what happens is he wakes up in a warehouse somewhere, and he's a little worse for wear. He's very groggy. He has no idea what's going on, and this shadowy figure comes over with a glass of water that he teases him with. He keeps pulling it out of his reach, and this guy has about the creepiest laugh you've ever heard in film history. I mean, it's very creepy. He seems to think it's hysterical. That guy turns out to be one of the henchmen for the villain, and I believe we're talking about the Yakuza underworld here. I don't know if anyone uses that word in the film, but I believe that's what we're talking about here. And they work him over pretty good. They tie him up. And then what's really cool is a lot of the character development that you saw in the previous two films pays off here. We know this guy's in really good shape. And he's tied up, and he manages to get out. And he flips himself upside down, anchors his feet. He's hanging upside down. He's able to untie himself and lower himself. And you guys may not know this, but Mr. Dan used to be in pretty good shape a long time ago. I never in a million years would have been able to do that. So all that working out he did and all those sit-ups in the previous films, it apparently paid off. And having said that, it's really just a test, and he's basically kind of dragged in front of a projector screen where, this is the 70s, so they're putting slides into a slide projector, and they're basically saying, this, we need you. You have to kill somebody for us. And now, how did they get him with his guard down? Well, he was in a bar and he met a woman, and she was playing the piano and singing a sultry song, and kind of struck a chord with him, and one thing led to another, and they started to spend some time together, and we see some of this in flashback. So he's possibly maturing a little bit when it comes to the ladies. But it turns out that she is connected to this underworld, and it was kind of a setup. And, we don't, that's not the last we see of her. They sort of reestablish contact in the film. And there's a second woman who's completely unrelated to the underworld, works in a shop, nice, cutest little thing you've ever seen. So he goes into the shop a few times, so they start a relationship. And by the end of the film, I won't really say too much more, but maybe, just possibly, he's going to get ready to leave this life behind. It's I didn't expect everything to be wrapped up with a neat little bow, and it's not. I guess I can close this now. But getting back to the plot, he basically has a target, and it's basically another sort of a legendary hitman in the underworld, a little bit older fella. So he's the target. And I'm really not going to go into a whole bunch of details about the plot, but there's kind of an unexpected twist partway through, and then there's an additional target, and there's some double crossing, and he springs into action. Now, he's also, in the beginning, he gets shot through the hand, so he has to rehabilitate his hand. And, once again, there's another workout sequence, and this one is actually really cool because he's kind of testing his hand out to make sure it's good. He's testing his reaction, and he's got a lot more weapons in this. He brings out all his guns. He's got like a table full of guns and his rifle, of course, his sniper rifle. And he's doing like drills with his weapons, and he incorporates that into his his workout routine. He's doing push-ups on his wrists, which look painful. He's oh, by the way, the drink of choice in this movie is Old Crow. Old Crow whiskey. Oh, and once again, he spits a little whiskey into one of his wounds. He did that in a previous film too, and winces, of course. But at one point, he has the bottle tied to his wrist, and he's practicing holding, he's practicing basically holding a weapon in this position for an extended period of time. And it's really cool. This is the best workout sort of montage of the three, and because he's got all his weapons out, and he's incorporating his weaponry into his workout. And then once again, we have some really solid action sequences. There's kind of a tense scene where he's trying to assassinate someone at a distance, and he notices that he's not the only one who's on the scene and is armed, and he has to react very quickly. And then once again, towards the end of the film, it really kicks into high gear, and he has to go into yet another one of these buildings with hallways and doorways and mirrors, and we have, once again, a John Wick, almost like a John Wick style shootout. And of course I know that it would actually be the opposite, guys. I'm aware of that this was filmed in the 70s, and that if John Wick took inspiration, if one film took inspiration from the other, it would be John Wick taking inspiration from this film, or a film that was inspired by this film. You know what I'm saying? But it's kind of reminiscent of that. And in one of the previous reviews, I said, well, it doesn't have that exaggerated body count. Well, in this one, they come close. It goes on a while, and it's pretty cool. And what I like about it is it's not just a bunch of guys, shooting each other holding their weapons like this, shooting across each other. It's up, it's down. People are on top of them. There's stairwells. They're jumping out of doors. he has to resort to hand-to-hand combat mixed in with the gunplay, and it's really cool. It's pretty cool. Now, there is a thing, like sometimes when some of the people get shot, they do this thing where they flop around a little bit. It might be, I don't know, it might be a little dated perhaps. I don't really know. I'm not an expert on what happens when a bullet goes into a body, but I don't really see that in modern American action films. But I didn't really mind it, and but it's really good. It's a really good long extended sequence, and all that you could just see, all that training he does, it all comes into to play. So at the end of the film, he has to wrap everything up with his this woman here, who's I'm thinking she's been in it around a while. She might be a couple years older than him. This is her in the crosshairs. That's not, doesn't make her, that's not a flattering view of her, but she's quite attractive. So he has to sort of wrap everything up with her, and then, as I said, at the end of this film, maybe they're suggesting that he's going to move on from the underworld life. It doesn't have one of those goofy endings, it feels like the other films did, where he's going out and acting kind of irresponsibly with gambling and racking up debts and so forth. It was a very solid ending to the trilogy, and a very solid film. And that is my review of The Execution Game. Overall, an excellent film. Please leave a comment below, and I will see you guys for the 5th and final video in the series where I wrap up the whole trilogy and give my final thoughts. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Later.